Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel for an end of spring garden tour. The first thing you'll notice that has changed is that I've painted the gate and the fences, but we'll get around there in a minute. I'm going to go in the same order as I usually do. If you want to see the end of last spring's garden tour, I will link it here. So starting off in this bed, I haven't really planned the colors or anything, it's just kind of ended up like this, so I will be tweaking it. It's all looking very yellow, but anyway, I have a hollyhocks at the back which is about to flower. I'm super excited about that. I haven't had any of my hollyhocks flower yet. This is grown from seed and this is the second year, so hopefully we'll get some good blooms. I don't know what color they will be. We have some calendula there. Pyrethrum is about to flower, starting to flower. Campanula. There's a chrysanthemum merry mix that is called a Jess. Campanula spreading through this bed. This is a purple passion. Linaria that I've popped in everywhere because I had billions of seedlings. The pyrethrum and the purple passion, I think, and the campanula I bought as seedlings, but the rest is all grown from seed. Dianthus, calendula. The calendula has self-seeded all the way through the garden, as you will see. Pansies, Linaria. I have a dwarf hydrangea here that's just coming into bloom. Isn't that adorable? It's tiny. More calendula, Daphne. And then this is the little front garden. There's a few changes here. Please excuse Noah's basketball hoop. We have to lay it down because we get really high winds here and it just blows right over, even though the base is weighted, so we just have to lay it down when he's not busy using it. So starting on the right, I have some osteospermum that is just going crazy. I've taken multiple cuttings from it. This has done really well. I bought it 2 years ago from a seedling and I love how it spreads and it flowers all year round, so that's a good addition. I really want to get a white one and a maroon one. Bridal bouquet hydrangea. My hydrangeas have really taken off. You've heard me talk about them in the vlogs. So proud of them. Linaria. I spent hours pricking out almost 300 Linaria seedlings, so I'm glad that they're doing well. I have some Achillea double pearl there, another couple of hollyhocks at the back. The hedging was all here when we moved in, so it's a mix. That is white jello, which didn't flower as much as it usually does. I have a buddleia there as well, which the butterflies and the bees love. This is Dianthus. This will really start to look good next year or the year after. Chrysanthemum merry mix. Come up from seed, which I harvested from my merry mix plant that I bought last year. Another hydrangea bridal bouquet. That hydrangea was given to me by a friend and I planted it out and it's never really been happy. It does bloom, it blooms blue, but it just doesn't seem happy, and it was the same size as these and you can see it just hasn't grown the same way. Linaria cosmos, harvested from my cosmos plant last year. Another blue hydrangea, bridal bouquet hydrangea. They're looking a bit wilty. I need to water them. We haven't had rain in a while. Merry mix chrysanthemum, Linaria, and alyssum. This is alyssum carpet of snow. This is alyssum pastel carpet. It's got the purple in it. The bench is new. I still need to level it. It's not completely level. It is kind of leaning that way. And I'm also still deciding what color I want to paint or stain it. This hydrangea is so pretty. It's a lace cap hydrangea, so that's how it blooms. And I love the purple and blue colors. That is our tree that we got when we gained citizenship. It's a Ko-Fi, and unfortunately I took too long to plant it out and it started to really wilt and die in the pot. It is still alive, so I'm hoping it will come back, but it's not looking too happy, which is unfortunate. Backing out here. This used to be a pile of rocks and I've created a berm there. We've put sod and soil from digging out beds. I need to kill off all of the weeds and then sow some kind of a wildflower mix over there, but I just haven't done that yet. I do have other odds and ends planted. So I've got, I think that's a teddy bear sunflower, another hollyhocks, just odds and ends that I had left over to plant out. This is an acer that snapped off in the wind and I've kind of bound it back together, but it doesn't seem to be surviving, so it was worth a try, but I think it's a bit of a fail. We will circle around to there in a minute. I've planted a couple of Camellia there. This is a Daphne. They are just huge, my 2 Daphne bushes. They are absolutely massive. You can see they overhang the grass by that much. But Daphnes don't like being pruned, so I just kind of have to accept it and go with it. I might do things like cut back this branch here because it won't really mess up the shape, but haven't got around to that. They bloom beautifully towards the end of winter. Over here I have a Camellia, alyssum, some weeds. That is a cutting from the rose bush that we removed here. I think it's the yellow rose. This is Powershot miniature roses. This one is, I think this one's Kirsten. No, this is Celtic Honey. And this one's Kirsten, or Kristen. I've just put alyssum in around it. That's an Escalonia or apple blossom bush. This white rose bush was here. It was massive and leggy and I pruned it hard and it seems to be quite happy. It's blooming really well. Have some Phacelia in there that's actually crashing into it because this rose bush put on so much growth after I planted these. I can't even remember what these are. I really should label things. I guess time will tell. Another Camellia and the Daphne. So coming across to the shade bed on this end of the driveway, we have, these are kind of like weird lily things. I found them in the garden and I've just stuck it in there. There is a dahlia that comes up here, which I kind of made a bit of a mistake putting these two together, but anyway, I thought that dahlia had died. It's nice to see it coming back. I've just popped in bits into any spaces. We have a couple of zinnias there. That is a cyclamen, my one and only hosta, Liriope or monkey grass. This was also in the garden somewhere. It's looking a bit straggly, so I might pull it out, but I put it in there to keep up some space while I was still getting more plants. Pansies, stock, cyclamen. This is a Brunnera Jack Frost and it blooms most of the year. It's really pretty. Pansies, violets which are spreading nicely. Cyclamen, stock, that weird lily thing, stock. This stock I grew from seed at the end of last summer and it's bloomed the whole way through winter, all of these have, and it's still going strong, so pretty pleased with that. They're supposed to be an annual, but I guess not here. Cyclamen there and there. Just more of the same really. This violet is very happy and is spreading very well. So as things like this spread and take off, I'll take out the weird bits that were in the garden that I just stuck in as place markers. Not much going on back there. Okay, coming further up the driveway, a new addition is this set of screens. We have a little guest house that we rent out there, so that just gives them and us a bit of privacy. This bed has oregano, which has grown and spread really well. This is Asperula Blue Woodruff, some more Pyrethrum, more Alyssum, Echinacea. These came back from last year. Candy tuft in the middle that's just beginning to flower, and Calendula that's taken over. This is another acer that we put in. It's very leggy, it has no real shape to it, and it doesn't seem overly happy. It's kind of crisping up, so we shall see. Little stock that I popped in there. Lavender, this is the only of the lavender major that has survived. I killed all of the rest, but I have replaced them. Calendula, I had tulips here in the spring pyrethrum. There's just the last of the anemones. All of this cosmos is self-seeded from last year. I have another dwarf hydrangea down there. It's not flowering. Dianthus about to bloom, that's from last year. Pyrethrum, alyssum, anemones, Dianthus. This is a scabiosa or pincushion flower, and I bought that a couple years ago and it's spread really well, and I've harvested seeds and grown more from it, so that was a good purchase. These pansies have bloomed the whole way through winter. They seem quite happy. Dianthus. This dahlia has come back from last year. This is a peach one. A couple of dwarf thumbelina zinnias and alyssum. Coming back this way, as you can see, the calendula has just self-seeded itself everywhere. It's just kind of taken over the place. Dianthus as well. I went overboard last year and sowed loads and loads of dianthus, so they're everywhere because they're just perennials. Weeds, don't look at that. Odds and ends of pansies. Some are happier than others. These pansies look good. Hollyhocks, also about to flower. These posts we're going to be removing because that is for the shade sail, which is actually broken, so we're just going to be taking them out, which is why I haven't really done much to train my Virginia creeper on it. This was ranunculus. I need to lift all of those and put something else in there for the summer. Got a couple of zinnias between it. Linearia, dianthus. These are dwarf thumbelina zinnias all around the front. A couple of dahlia coming up from last year. This is an escallonia or apple blossom bush. It is beautiful all year round and it flowers with pink flowers, and I'm really happy with that, and I'm going to get more of that because it just looks good all year round. I had to put in more lavender major. The English lavender was fine, but the lavender major, we had a bit of a pruning mishap and they all died, so I have replaced those. More dianthus and calendula and linearia. The dianthus are all carnations. They're all different colours. There's a pink one over there. Another hollyhocks. This is a hydrangea that blooms with deep maroon flowers. This is a pyrrhus, which I absolutely love, and I also want to put more of those in because it always looks interesting. It's always doing something interesting. So it has the evergreen green leaves, it has red new growth, it gets little white flowers that look like lily of the valley almost. It gets these little berries, so I definitely want to put more of those in. Another couple of hollyhocks about to flower. There is my greenhouse. I promise greenhouse tour coming soon. I finally finished staining the floor. It's all cleaned out. I just need to do a couple of last minute things and then I will be filming a greenhouse reveal. Odds and ends I still need to clean up. These are my warehouse willies, which are just rubbish and they split, so they end up being used as planters. I've got some stock there, and then these are dwarf zinnias, and then this is alyssum, which I've just planted, so they're not spreading yet, but they should kind of spread out and froth over the edge of the boot. This bed is a bit of a cottage garden mix, all just rambling. We have the calendula, which like I said is just taking over. We have some poppies. I put sweet peas along the back, but I didn't put anything for them to climb up, so they're just sprawling through everything and flowering beautifully. These are grown from seed that I harvested from my sweet peas last year. Got some little pansies down there and chamomile on the end. And here is my potager. I'll come back to this bed in a minute. So I have a bunch of raised beds that I've made out of pallets. I will link the video here showing you how I made them. And this is where I grow food for us. So at the moment I have tomatoes in this one. I haven't sown anything in the front. This is beans, weeds and onions. Here are some of the cuttings I took of the osteospermum. They took so well that not only have they rooted in the pot, but if I lift it up, you probably see they've actually rooted through the pot and into the ground. So I really need to plant them out. I put some yams into there. I don't know how well they're going to do, but this pot was standing there with one of the osteospermum cuttings in it. This bed is empty. I still need to plant something in here. That bed has cucumbers in, and that has tomatoes with carrots sown in the front. They haven't come up yet. This is my little courtyard garden, which I haven't really done much to this year. It was looking gorgeous last year. I'll insert a picture here for you to see it. But a lot of the plants have died, like that forget-me-not, and they were just weeds, and it wasn't looking too good, so I need to clear it out. I have cleared some of it out and planted a few odds and ends. I put a Hebe lavender lace in there. I want to get more perennial or evergreen perennial shrubs. That penstemon is doing really well. I pruned it hard and it's come back beautifully. I've got an escallonia that I put in there and a Nandina firepower. So a few evergreen shrubs, but I really need to plant more here. I did have some tulips going. Tomatoes are doing well. Up here I've just started clearing and planting out osteospermum cuttings that I've grown, so that will sprawl and cover this whole area. This is a peach tree, and this is also a peach tree. They don't really produce very well. In this bed I have pumpkins. I haven't labeled things, so it's either pumpkins in here and butternut in those two, or the other way around. And I can't remember what these are either. Time will tell, it'll be a surprise. I did leave my sprouting broccoli to go to seed, so I need to harvest those seeds so I can use them to sow my broccoli in the autumn. This is all Achillea double pearl. I've got hollyhocks and a whole bank over there. And then Alyssum carpet of snow. I have a few echinacea. This is sage that's just finished flowering. I must see if there's any seeds to harvest. More Alyssum, Achillea, and then that will need a good pruning. I haven't really tended it very well. That is a Gresselinia that I put in. And then here is the cornfield. Grant didn't want to dig it all up, so he just kind of dug rows to plant the corn in. We'll see how they go. I was planting in stages, so I need to continue filling up. This is Photinia or red robin, and the idea is for this to form a hedge that will be as tall as the neighbor's garage and block that. Over here we have more tomatoes. I train them up on the string method. It seems to work really well. I have a few beans, and these are my chives that have gone to seed. So I have harvested some seeds from them. You can see they get little black seeds in these flowers. So like I said, I have harvested some seeds. I have as many as I need. There you can see the seeds. Anyway, I need to cut all of those back. This is bok choy that has gone to seed. As soon as it got hot, it just bolted. These are my leeks, ditto. I planted these leeks, well, I sowed them from seed last February, and it is now November, and they weren't actually really very big. I was waiting for them to thicken up before harvesting, and then it got warm and they just bolted. So I'm going to harvest some seeds from them and try again. I have dwarf beans and tomatoes. And then this was the berry patch. It isn't really the berry patch anymore. We have loads of weeds. I have peas going all the way around. Some were sown later than others, which are producing pretty well. The neighbor gave me a banana passion fruit, so that's there. I need to clear all of these weeds again, but there's kind of almost no point unless I have something to mulch it with. I have 3 blueberry bushes which have not really grown that much, and they don't, well, I say they don't produce much. Producing quite well, but I would have expected them to be bigger by now. So I need to look at what I can do in terms of pruning and feeding and all that jazz. This was all strawberries last year, but I had strawberry plants that were constantly putting out more runners and growth and very, very little fruit. So I pulled them all out and I've started again. Well, there's one left over. They're still everywhere. There's some coming out of the cracks there. Can't get rid of them. Honestly, they're like weeds, but they didn't produce very well in terms of fruit. These are new, so we'll see how they do. Loads of peas. And then at the end, poking through, I've got sweet peas, but I'll go and show you that from the outside. This middle bed is the only one I haven't really talked about, and this has Gold Rush zucchini. And the reason I chose Gold Rush is so you can spot the zucchini easily amongst the green leaves, because I think we've all had the experience if you've grown zucchini where you leave it for a few days and you've checked it and you've harvested and then you come back and find a marrow because you just didn't see it. So I thought spotting the yellow ones would be a little bit easier. Coming around to this bed, I like to anchor groups of trees with a little bed, because we have so many trees just dotted randomly about the property, and I think it's more interesting if they're anchored in a bed and there's like more point to them. So as you can see, I still have more beds to cut. I want to do around there, make a shade garden, and there. I quite like shade gardening now that I've learned which plants do and don't cope well with semi-shade. I have a centaurea there. Can't remember what that is, so that will be a surprise for all of us. This is an arctosis. This will spread really well. It already has since I bought it not so long ago, and I'm going to take plenty of cuttings of that. Just thought the burnt orange color was really pretty. More calendula everywhere. Forget-me-nots, alyssum, scabiosa. These were grown from seed that I harvested. We have a few succulents popped in there. Some blackjack pansies, also grown from seeds I harvested. Another succulent, more scabiosa. And then I have stock and asperula, blue woodruff. I have a couple of Aquilegia or granny's bonnets. These can tolerate semi-shade. They stay evergreen, and then obviously they put up the tall flowers. So I have two, but it's kind of getting lost there underneath the hollyhocks. I don't know what I was thinking. Here's the other one. It's a pink one. I don't know what I was thinking planting hollyhocks here, but anyway, there's a couple there. There were three and I moved one, but they put down such long tap roots because of their height that it just broke. So I'll see how these do, but I may end up taking them out. And then I have some cyclamen there. They do well in the shade. There's a big one still flowering. The little ones have stopped flowering. And some hellebores there and there, or winter roses. Okay, moving across to this shade garden. This has put on a lot of growth. This alyssum wants to take over. This stock is new. That stock, which, look at all the seed pods on it. That stock and that stock also just bloomed the whole way through winter. Osteospermum that I took from a cutting. This will fill right up. Dahlia come back from last year, hasn't bloomed yet. And then that's a heuchera. That is a white geranium. These are all sweet peas, which I grew from seeds that I harvested from last year. Got a fern, campanula, bluebell. I have a lamium or lamium that blooms white, and one that blooms pink. I have violets and cyclamen and corydalus. Thank you to the viewer who corrected me. I was told this was a dicentra, but it's not, it's a corydalus. And this is blue. This little path is full of weeds, but I was planning on putting a bench there, and my dad has half made it and I just need to finish it off, and I think I know how I'm going to do it, but just haven't got around to it. I put a Loropetalum chinense, I think it's called. What is it called? China pink. That will bloom in pink, and it's just like a reddish. That will be a shrub eventually. Hydrangea, hollyhocks, Hebe, lavender lace. This Griselina just self-seeds itself all over. Another hydrangea, fern, loads of weeds, and I almost stood on my cyclamen there. Stock gone to seed. They just keep going to seed and then coming back and flowering again, so I need to kind of deadhead that. That's another hydrangea. It's not looking overly happy. There's a fuchsia in there, but it's the same size as it was last year, also not looking too happy. And then here I have Asperula blue woodruff, I have stock spring sparkle, and regular stock. That is another escalonia. These are all suckers from the tree that I need to trim, and some more stock, and another hydrangea. So that is that bed. Excuse the burn barrel and the leaves bin. I've painted that fence as well, and then behind there is just loads of rubbish and my very, very, very inefficient compost heap. So basically I just dump everything here, and I'm sure at the bottom is like gorgeous compost, but I've never actually turned it, and this I just need to burn. So another problem for another day. Let's move on. This is all like building materials that I'll use for projects, so we just had to have a place to chuck it. Pipes and wood and bricks and things, and I do use stuff out of here all of the time, but yeah, just had to put it somewhere. This needs to go behind there so I don't see it. And then I want to do a bed around here. This is a little shed. This was here when we moved in. These are my hazelnut trees. Didn't get any hazelnuts last year because I pruned them hard, but hopefully this autumn we'll get some. I really want to make a shade bed around here, put some more hydrangeas in because you can never have enough. Coming around, that's where we store bicycles and the trailer. This has lawnmower and surfboards and other gardening equipment, and then that has camping stuff and more bicycles. So this is kind of the undeveloped half of the garden. This was an old apple tree that's suckered and come back, so we'll see what that ends up doing. The olive tree bushes I've talked about before, they're just greening up, looking good. Painted fences, looking good. We have some wood storage and more bicycle storage because we have that many bicycles and vehicles because my youngest son is obsessed with anything with wheels. Over here we have a grapevine that, again, we haven't tended very well. We don't really know what to do with grapevines. At this stage we're just letting it grow because it was just a root that was given to us. So I think this is its second year and we're just letting it put on some growth and planning on learning how to tend grapevines, but that's another project for another day. And then here I've started cutting out a bed. I did have a bit of a border. I've widened that border and started bringing it around the tree. This needs to come out, but I ran out of things to plant out, so I've just left it for now because otherwise it's just going to weed up. But ultimately this is going to come around, maybe around this tree, I don't know, I haven't decided. It is a lot of work cutting out beds. So in here I have forget-me-nots, I have scabiosa, I can't even remember because this was like when I was coming to the end of all of my seedlings, so I just stuck in whatever was left. This is impatience, grown from seed. Stock, I have dwarf stock, spring sparkle and night scented. Alyssum, and then this is all, what is this called again? I'm having a brain fart, but I'll put the name on the screen of what this is. I'm noticing that I've planted so many purple things, or sown so many purple things this year. I really need to get a bit of balance. And then this border is starting to look good. I've got sunflowers all the way along the back, and then in front I have some hollyhocks that are about to bloom. So there's 4 big ones from last year, and then this year I've put new ones in between them. Ultimately this is going to be a big camellia hedge, but right now the camellias are only that big, so that's why I've kind of planted things behind and in front of them. This is one leftover Photinia or red robin that we had, but the rest are alternating pink and white camellias. And then in front of them I've got more Achillea double pearl, Phacelia lacy, that's blooming. I have some cosmos that I saved from my own seed, which is the kind of two-tone ones. They come out really differently. Some are really dark, some are light, but they all have streaks of white in them. I have some cosmos double click cranberry. I have weeds. And then these are Aster King Size Apricot and Zinnia Cinderella Lilac, which should be quite tall once they take off. I have some leftover chamomile, a couple of teddy bear sunflowers. That one started blooming. And remember those strawberry plants I told you about that grow like weeds and want to take over the world? I stuck a few here and there were a few left over and still trying to take over the world. But that's fine because they'll provide ground cover and then keep the weeds down. Alyssum, some zinnias. I can't even remember what this is. And then we have a few marigolds and some more chamomile. And this is a little mandarin tree that we've almost killed, so I need to learn how to look after that. And that's as far as I got with that bed. I have a couple of swan plants from last year, so that is for the monarch butterflies, but that's all I have for them this year. And that's as far as I got with the fence painting as well. So once we've dealt with this, I'm going to continue the bed around. We have an oak tree and we have another tree that's really close, and I kind of want to figure out what to do. I think I want to take this one lower and give the oak more room to sprawl, but this one provides good screening, so I don't know, we'll have to figure that out. This massive pile of sticks has been there since January. You've seen it in previous garden tour, my autumn one, my winter one. And I'm not going to go into the saga of the wood chipper that burst into flames. I'll link the vlog here, but we still haven't been able to deal with that. We have a couple of apple trees. This apple tree seems to have died. We had such a wet winter. We had just a year of constant rain, and I think the roots have rotted out. It's got some suckers there, but the rest of it is completely dead. The apple trees are doing well. We have some gorgeous fruit growing. That is a pear tree that unfortunately got chopped down by accident and has suckered and come back and is really tall now. That must be about 10-11 foot, but I can't actually tend it and prune it and branch train it because I can't get to it. So that's a little bit frustrating. But hopefully eventually we'll get this pile sorted out. This is a cork oak. There used to be other trees here crowding them, which is why the oak and the cork oak are looking so flat on one side, but it's starting to fill out. This is where I want to put the deck, but we're now realizing how much it's going to cost, so I don't know when we're going to do that. But we will be getting like a picnic table to be able to use this space in the summer. You can see we started digging for pilings for the deck and then realized how many we'd have to dig, and it's actually quite tricky because you have to line them all up exactly that way. It has to be completely square and they all have to be lined up that way, and there's going to be so many, so that's on hold for now. This bed is new since my last tour, excuse the barbecue. So this I call the utility garden because this is where we have the clothesline and the bins and things like that. There I have Scabiosa, I have dwarf stock, Camellia double pearl, these are asters, Linaria. This is a nectarine tree, we've never really got fruit off it though. More Camellia, I've got Dianthus in the front, Cosmos at the back, that's an engine of firepower, that's my new little buddy. I put him here because I know he's in his swimsuit, but he looks like he's in his boxer shorts, so I thought putting him by the washing line was appropriate. We have a hollyhocks at the back and a fern, Asperula blue woodruff, a hydrangea, this one's blue. This was a concrete pad, so I just used bricks that I had in my trash pile to make a bit of a raised bed. It is quite dry. I do need to water this because it gets so hot and it can't put down deep roots into the soil because concrete. That's Linaria and Alyssum, more Asperula, Dianthus, Linaria, stock, spring sparkle, Asperula. We've had some hedge trimming going on, as you can see. Hydrangea, hydrangea, hydrangea. One is Alpenglow, one is Renata something or other, and then I don't know what the other one is. Dianthus and Alyssum. And we're kind of right back where we started. Through there is just piles of rubbish. That's where things go to die. Piles of logs from the hedge trimming. a random mirror that I need to deal with. This is our worm farm, so they seem quite happy in there. And then along here I have planted what was left of my seedlings, and as you can see from the rest of the garden, there were a lot. I planted out over 1,700 seedlings that I grew from seed. So I have a bunch of scabiosa there. These are jockey caps, seeds that I got at the local crop swap. These are pansies, osteospermum cutting, pansies, succulents, because this is underneath this milk delivery box, so it'll stay even drier than the rest. Dianthus, can't remember, and candy tuft. Scabiosa, and more scabiosa. And then this is just left over from last year. It's got grass growing up through it, but they seem quite happy. Pansies and alyssum pastel carpet. And there we go. That is my garden at the end of spring 2017. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.